So let me tell you about this beautiful something called kinesiology. How to test yourself for all of these things, because it's, like I said, worth $1 million. What I'm going to do is, let me show you here with my hand. We've got a couple ways of doing it. Some of you have heard of kinesiology, and you've been maybe to a chiropractor, maybe to a naturopathic doctor, somebody who's used kinesiology. Maybe you stuck your arm out in the air, you put your arm out like this, and then the person was going to, push down on it. Okay? Have you had that happen before? And they push down on your arm. It's kinesiology. Maybe they take something, they have you hold it, and then they're challenging your arm. If you don't know what I'm talking about, forget I said it. For those of you who've already experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you a more advanced way to do it so that you can do it yourself. In the grocery store, at home, you can save your own life and start to identify the issues that are creating all these toxins in your body. Because that's going to be half or more of the battle. Not just eating right, but how do I get rid of all the stuff I accumulate? When I do eat French fries, or when I do eat, bacon, all the things that are not necessarily good for your body, let me find out what to do about all that. So kinesiology. I'm going to show you what we call self-testing, a couple of ways. Here's the most, probably the easiest one. You can see I've got my thumb and my pinky together, okay? Very easy. Now what I'm going to do is take my other pinky and I'm going to drop it right inside of that loop right there. And the action is to see if I can hold it when I pull tight here or if I can pull it through. It's very easy. Okay, I tend to be right-handed. My right hand is my dominant, so I'm going to switch to the other side because I can get a better feeling with my right hand. So I'm going to take my left one here. I'm going to make the loop, and I'm going to put this finger between here on the inside, and I'm going to try to hold these two fingers together while this finger tries to pull it right through. Ready? 1, 2, 3, pull. Nice and strong. Should be no problem. 99% of the time, you're going to be able to do this. So here's watch this. It's very strong for me. For those of you that can't do this, you're just going to have to wait a few minutes and let me show you the other ways to do it. I'll show you several ways so you find them, but most people can do this one right here. I'm going to take something here, just a piece of gum, say. This is a piece of Trident. Hopefully Trident won't get upset with this. And I'm just going to hold it here. I can put it anywhere. As long as it's touching my body somewhere, stick it in my pocket. I'm just going to stick it between my fingers. It's not touching me. And I'll tell you what's happening here in a minute. I'm going to put these two fingers together again, and I'm going to pull. Suddenly I can't hold that strong anymore. It's actually going through it. Now I'm trying to keep that together, but the force of my finger coming through here just won't allow it to happen. I get rid of it again, and I come back, and it's nice and tight. I don't have any problem holding it. Let me explain how that's happening. All right. The human body has something called electromagnetics. I have a beautiful article on the website if you want to read all about it. I can't tell you all of it here. It's pages and pages explaining how this really works. But we see this three-dimensional human blob of tissue and flesh. We have a problem. We go in, somebody says on the tissue level, we're going to have to cut it out. It's disease, don't know what else to do about it because they don't understand about nutrition and about toxins, all stuff accumulates and what you can do about it. What's really happening is you've probably heard of acupuncture, things like that, energy medicine. It's a very new fad. Well, for the last 10 or 15 years, it's kind of been really getting higher and higher. So acupuncture is based on something called meridians. We have these, and they found that these meridians, which are kind of electrical pathways, you know how you have veins running through all of your body? Meridians are the same thing, except you can't see them, and there's no actual substance in them. They're just these electrical lines. Kind of like in the wall behind me, there's very likely going to be some wires that are feeding all of the lights in my room, but I don't see the wires, but they're there. Because I don't see them doesn't mean that they're not real. Because you don't see the watchmaker doesn't mean that a watch isn't real, right? It's still there. You see the tangible evidence, but you don't see how it all came about. So we have these electrical charges in our body, and they run through these special lines called meridians. Well, the body's organized. Why wouldn't they? So there's got to be some sort of pathway. Now, there's a meridian, let's say, for my lung, the two big systems here in my chest, that starts here in the thumb and moves up my arm and ends in a specific location. And so all of your fingers and your toes have these meridians that start or end there, and they run all through your body. Along these meridians, you have something called an acupuncture point. These are the entry and exit points for the meridians. Now watch this. Those acupuncture points actually reflect the internal actions and functions. So somebody who's really good at, say, acupuncture or acupressure can come to your lung meridian and push different areas of it right on the outside of your skin, and every part on the outside of your skin actually represents an internal action or function. So if you're hurting in a very specific location, you can look up that point in the book, which we have called the Practitioner's Manual, and you can say, well, let me see, if that hurts there, this point represents this part of my body, it must indicate that there's some sort of debility in that part of the body. Research and science has now found that when a human embryo begins, before the tissues are even formed, the meridians have already been mapped. Guess what that tells us? That human tissues are nothing more than whatever's dictated along the electrical pathways. So guess what's more important, the electrical pathways or the tissue that you see, this human three-dimensional blob that we're talking about? It's the electrical pathways. How does all this work? Well, we're testing electrical pathways. Since the body is one huge computer, touch an electric fence and then touch a friend and tell me that you're not electrical. We're 70-some% water, and water conducts electricity. Like I said, read the article. I can't give you all of the facts and try to explain all of this to you right now, but we are one huge electrical being, and that's how this is possible. That's how kinesiology is possible.